I mean, yeah, I know it's a bear market right now, but it's not going to be a bear market forever. So now is the time to build, get it to a state where you want to, because when that bull market hopefully comes back not too long from now, I mean, we don't know when it's going to be, but you believe in your mission and you're keeping going. So that's really awesome. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Builders of Web3 show. I have a very exciting guest today. I've been following James Turner on LinkedIn, and I love your content, James, and just wanted to have a conversation with you. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm extremely excited to be here, Antonio. I appreciate you having me on and taking the time to meet with me. Stoked. Can't wait to see what we get into.
Of course. Do you mind just starting by telling us a little bit about your background and what brought you to this point where you are right now?
Sure. So my background is in operations. I was an ops director for a number of years in the QSR industry. That's quick service restaurants, so McDonald's, Del Taco. I was a general manager, area director, operations director. And I did that for over a decade. And then from there, I went on to full service car washes with Procter and Gamble. I helped them scale up their locations on a little business that they started called Mr. Clean Car Wash. You know, the shiny bald guy.
Yes.
Help them scale up from a few locations to over 20 locations in the southeast of the U.S. And then from there, I've been involved in crypto since 2017, where I've always been involved on the social community side of things. Like my first foray when I first got into crypto was with steemit.com, which was the very first social media blockchain. Like I didn't come in with Bitcoin. I didn't come with with Ethereum. I didn't come in with Litecoin. Litecoin was really big back then. Everybody was coming in about that. But no, I've always known that the intersection between people, a decentralized brain power, if you will, coming together to do cool things and operate kind of on their own, that's the future of blockchain, right? Like that's the whole thing. And that's what had been my thesis this entire time. So fast forward to 2021, when NFTs came out, it was just a perfect fit for my why I'm here. Like, because back then there was no utility discussion, right? It was all just people coming together, crowdsourced brain power, doing cool things, making cool stuff, and all community driven, decentralized people. And I said, this is it. This is what I want to do. So I jumped in. I left my current position with Mr. Clean, and I became a community manager for Creatures, which was the very first NFT project on Solana, minted last March. And from there, I looked around and I saw kind of in the space there was a need, a huge gap back then for like community management services that were legitimate, because there was a lot of people back then that were quote unquote community managers and selling their services, but they were a little more than chatters in like a Discord server, right? They weren't, they didn't understand quantitative analysis, strategy. They didn't understand how to actually build out SOPs, KPIs, OKRs, right? They didn't understand how to actually run an operation, which at the bottom of at the end of everything, or at the bottom of it all, that's what operation, or that's what community is, operation. So I set out to do a better job than what I saw the industry kind of having at the moment. And that's what we did. We built out Excellerate, which became the largest community management company in Web3. I don't think there was anybody larger than us at one time. We were managing close to 30 projects, almost 100 people on staff. Yeah, it was pretty significant, man. It was crazy. It was a crazy time. It was insane. And it was absolutely insane. And that was all in like a few months. Like we went from managing like 2 projects to all of a sudden like 30 projects in like 3 months. Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely
that's
crazy.
so how
Yeah.
did you, and you were just running everything.
I had, so what was interesting about when I came in, I brought in my entire family. So I hired my mom, I hired my sister,
I like
I
that.
hired my brother, my nephew, my niece. And the thing is they we've we grew up running businesses together. I mean, we never had a lot. We had, ups and downs. We weren't like a rich,
Hmm.
like business owning family, but we were always entrepreneurial. So I knew that they were scrappy, right? I
Yeah,
knew that if they came in and I gave them stuff to do and I showed them the ropes, like they'd get it and they'd latch on and they'd kill it. And that's exactly what we did. So it would, I was lucky in that I had a group of loyal people around me to help us scale at the pace that we did, right? Because without them, it
right.
would have been absolutely impossible. We would have fell apart. Would have absolutely fell apart. So that's, yeah. So, but it was me just running it. I had an ops director for a number of months until like bottom fell out of the market. We had to restructure, right? And everybody
Yeah.
was like, "Hey, we're pausing services," right? Everybody's like, we got we don't have any more money. We got to pause. Right. And, so we restructured the company, still going strong though. Still
So
have
you're
a
still, your
number of,
Accelerate still exists.
oh, 100%. Yeah. We still have a
Yeah,
number of clients long-term. I mean, we work with like NFL,
yeah,
some Silicon Valley, companies and we're also, moving, just like all over the place. So we have, training services. We're building out our own dashboard. We have multiple things that we're utilizing already in house, like a outreach dashboard, a social media management dashboard that we've developed all in house for very specific tools that people that really don't exist anywhere else. And kind of taking everything we've learned through that scaling process and how we needed to build out our operation procedures, and then we're bringing that into like a coded space, like actually building out those flows and that structure into a dashboard and into an actual web app that can help
right.
other people scale their own businesses, kind of the same way we did.
That's really awesome. I mean, yeah, I know it's a bear market right now, but it's not going to be a bear market forever. So now is the time to build, get it to a state where you want to, because when that bull market hopefully comes back not too long from now, I mean, we don't know when it's going to be, but you believe in your mission and you're keeping going. So that's really awesome.
100%, man. There's no, what's the alternative, right? Like, what do you
Right,
like, what, you quit? Nah, man.
right.
Like, that's just, I don't know. Like, that can't happen. I
Yeah.
mean, I actually moved, I picked up and moved over to the Philippines,
Oh, wow.
specifically so that, so I can, ride out whatever may happen in the next few years. Because there's no better place to be than a beautiful island country that's also extremely cheap living with amazing people. So
Can't argue with
it's
that. It's
yeah,
definitely better than
right.
where I am right now in New Jersey, and it's like freezing outside and raining and freezing. So I'm definitely I like your plan. Maybe I should pick up my stuff and move to the Philippines too.
Do it, bro. Do it. It's beautiful here. It's beautiful.
um, yeah. What I like that you what impresses me about your journey is that, I mean, I bet if you were asked 5, 10 years ago when you or whenever you got the job at Mr. Clean Car Wash, if somebody would have asked you, is this what you're going to be doing? Web3, I mean, you're going to be involved in the blockchain space, working with like Silicon Valley, NFL communities. You probably would have thought like, oh, this person's
Yeah.
crazy. Why is he telling me I was going to
Yeah.
be doing this?
Yeah. Absolutely insane. The journey is crazy. Yeah, I would have thought they were absolutely nuts because I mean, because I was good at my job. Like, I was really good at operations
Yeah.
and scaling operations, and I've always been kind of in the corporate side of things. I was with corporate McDonald's. I was with corporate Del Taco. I corporate Procter and Gamble. So like I was always there doing that, and I just thought that was my thing. That's what I was going to be.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
So
I
what
saw the opportunity here, and I just couldn't. I couldn't say no. I couldn't say
yeah.
no. I knew that. Because I mean, if to tell the truth, like in 2017, I made a decent amount of money in 2017, and then I left in 2018 when it got really just dark. Right, the market
Mm-hmm.
was just absolutely bad, and there was nothing because like now there's NFTs, there's narratives, there's things to talk about. Back then in the bear market, there was nothing. When it
Yeah.
died, I mean, it died. I mean,
It
there was
died.
nobody like it died. So like I left, there was nothing to hold me around. And then all of my friends that like stuck with it, right? Stuck with it. They had their belief system. They were strong. They had conviction, and they all did remarkably well. Right.
That's
And,
awesome.
so this time around, I said, yeah, I don't care. I don't care. That's why I came to the Philippines. I'm going to do whatever it takes to be here, build what I want to build, and continue. Period. Point blank.
That's really awesome. So did you, um, when you made the switch from corporate to Excellerate, did you just flat out quit and you said, "This is what I'm doing"? Did you have a slow transition when you tested the waters while you were still employed, or how was that
No,
process? I know a lot of
no,
people struggle with making that decision.
no. I just jumped. I'm not a, I'm not a guy that like. One thing you'll see about me is if you followed my like content at all or anything, you'll see
Yeah,
all of a sudden one day I'm like posting. There's just a flip that switched, and now I'm talking about AI. I'm posting AI art that I'm making, and I started that at creatives.com. Like when I make a decision, I just make a decision.
right.
That's just it. So no, I gave my 2 weeks notice. I said, this is happening. This is happening. This is the next big thing. NFTs, community. And it was a perfect fit for my skill set. And I said, yeah, this is it. Because
Yeah,
honestly, before NFTs came around, I mean, most jobs and most opportunities in the space were tech heavy, right?
right.
And I was just not a tech guy. Like I'm interested in tech. I've
Yeah,
built, I built little bots, right, which are just like glorified macros, right, like clicker bots, and
yeah.
to like beat my friends on like StarCraft, or checking for pixels, or like helping me mine things on like RuneScape, like that type of stuff. But I was never, God, I was just never a coder. I was never a big tech guy, and and so I said, this is it. This is the opportunity to actually use the skills that I have to actually play a part in the history that's being made. And yeah, so I jumped in at first, just like went.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, I think, and I talk to a lot of people, especially ones in college or fresh out of college, and a lot of the questions I get. I mean, even this week, just two people asked me like, "Hey, what do you think I should do?" I'm like, I can't tell you what to do, obviously, because your financial situation, right, or what kind of a person you are. But when you quit your job and you have to do this, you're going to be more
Yep.
motivated. For
Yep.
example, I still work my day job. I work for Google. I have my responsibilities, but and the stuff that I'm creating, I know that if something happens tomorrow, I have something to fall back on. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I'm not going at the speed that I could be, which I'm okay with because I have a wife and I have a 1 year old,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah. Yeah.
can't be
Yeah.
just doing what I was doing like when I didn't have a baby. So for
Yep. Yep.
everybody, the
Yep.
situation is different. but I
Sure.
really admire what you did.
Well, I
Just
mean,
really,
dude, I gotta agree with you though. Like, I'm only able to do this. Like, I'm only able to pack up. I literally moved to the Philippines with a backpack, right?
nice.
Like, yeah, like seriously, I had like, 2 pairs of pants and like 4 shirts. And I flew out here, right? And I sold my car, everything. And I just moved out here. I'm able to do all of that. Because I don't have a family. Like, I don't have
Right.
a kid. I'm not married. Hopefully I'll be married soon. I met a beautiful woman while I've been out here the last like 6 months. And
That's awesome.
yeah, man. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there. But I don't have those things. So everybody's life is very different. You do have to make
Right.
those decisions for yourself. But I will tell, I want to reiterate what you said though, is if given the opportunity, erring on the side of jumping into the void, always will turn out, I wouldn't say always, but more than likely will turn out a better result than being in a comfort zone, right? And
Right.
because you do have that fear as a motivating factor, like there's nothing to fall back on. Fear is an amazing motivating factor.
Yes.
Like it's there, like it really is. Like, we want to say fear is bad and all that. Yeah, fear is bad if it stops you from doing things. But if you use fear as a thing that pushes you forward, fuck, man. Excuse me, I don't know if I can cuss, but
You're good.
cool. I mean, it's such a powerful thing. And when you don't have anything to fall back on, like I would say, the moment that I realized that in my life was, have you ever looked into God, what are those? It was like Sky Hacker, or it was this one movement that happened where people were doing these really cheap flights. And they were doing like where they would buy a flight, and they would get off on the connecting flight because it was actually cheaper to buy the long haul, whatever. But long story short, what I did, when I kind of realized what you were talking about when you make that decision was, I started buying these trips when I didn't have much money, right? I started buying these trips to places I've always wanted to go, but I always made up decisions why I couldn't. I didn't have the money, blah, blah, blah. But I just would find a cheap flight and I'd buy it. And then miraculously, you're going. And now you have to figure it out. Right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's right now you're like, well, shit. Now I would make money. I'd do side hustles. I'd do this. I'd figure out how to make additional income to get to that goal because I already set that goal and I made it happen. The same thing is true when you quit your job or you just jump into the void, man. You're gonna figure it out. Like we're amazing people. Human beings are amazing beings, and we can figure shit out if we just give ourselves the opportunity to do it.
For sure, man. I mean, I can tell you that, yeah, so even though we have a baby, my son was about 6 or 7 months old, and my wife and I have been wanting for years to go to this EDM festival in Europe, Tomorrowland. And
oh, nice.
we finally got tickets, but COVID happened. It get postponed. The festival finally happens when we have a 7-month-old, and we're like, okay, like, you'll be crazy. What the heck? Now we can't go. And my wife was like, no, we're going to figure it out because we finally have tickets and this has been your dream for like 10 years. So we scrapped together. We planned it out where we flew to Belgium. We flew my mom and uncle from Macedonia, where I'm from, and they sat with the baby at the hotel. We would hang out together during the day. We would go afterwards to the festival, me and my wife. The baby was in safe hands. And then we made it happen, because once you, like you said, once you have spent the money and you were like, yep, it doesn't matter. I'm not wasting this opportunity. So I'm going to figure it out.
Exactly. That's how I look at starting businesses now too. Like, when you do that initial investment, you're gonna make something happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? More often than not, as long as you're, at least, I don't want to say like people are incompetent, but as long as you are somewhat competent, you're going to make something happen with that business, right? Like it's going to happen. And that's why I always tell people, like, just get started, just do the thing, just start moving. Because like it just compounds and moves, and you start instead of like being having a habit of not doing things, you start creating a habit of doing things. And like, you know, and then it just adds on top of each other until you look back like, dude, this last year is insane. Like I look back and I go, holy shit, like it feels like a decade, but then also it feels like just yesterday. But just the amount of things that I've been able to accomplish in like a year because of just moving, crazy, just crazy, man.
That's the biggest thing, and that's been the biggest thing with me is I spent a lot of time on the sidelines watching, waiting for the perfect moment to start a podcast. But then, well, what about my camera? I don't have the perfect camera. I don't have the perfect lights. My setup, you know, like in the back here, I was cleaning up before, but I had like a bunch of baby stuff on the floor, and there's always going to be something holding you back. And then you're like 2 years have passed by, you haven't done anything. You know, you see other people succeeding. So it's all about just start small or start big, whatever, but just get started. Just don't keep reading books about how to do it. Just actually do it.
Yeah, man. You know, and that's, I love that you said that. The whole reading books and consuming content. Honestly, I've stopped all of that nonsense. Like I don't consume any of these like tutorials. Like if I'm looking for a very specific thing that I need to learn, right? Like I'm trying to do this very specific, then yeah, I'm going on YouTube, I'm going on Google. But I don't consume any of that like aspirational, these are the 6 ways to get rich, like any of that stuff anymore. Because what it does actually, I really think this is an issue. What it actually does is it paralyzes people because it actually gives you too much information. I think we trick ourselves psychologically by consuming all of this aspirational content where our brain goes, ooh, cool, I feel good. And it gets that same kind of dopamine hit that you get when you get when you actually do something. Right. And so it tricks us to think we're actually doing something because we're consuming this information and the brain doesn't know the difference. It just thinks, oh, something, this is something cool. This is something big. It's talking about something that's actually doing really well, but it's not doing really well for you. And so I would say to stop consuming that content, and actually just like, I hate to sound like a broken record, but just start doing it.
And what it does for me is it's like, 6 steps and you'll be successful. And then I look at it and I maybe start doing these 6 steps. And then you see, well, this person did this 6 steps and he said, I'll be successful. But for me, it's not working because I've been doing it for a week and I get even more demotivated, you know? So then I'm off to another video. And that cheap dopamine, like you say, your brain, you're imagining yourself being successful and your brain's like, oh, this is good enough. And you end up not doing anything else. So it's definitely dangerous getting that.
And we're all different too, right? Like every single one of us different. The 6 steps that work for them might not be, I mean, you might not work that way. They're like, this will work for everyone if you just do it. And it's like, dude, shut up.
And it's usually those people that are charging you like, oh, click here to my course that I'm going to charge you like a couple $100 or $1,000 and then I'll teach you. But they're the only ones getting rich off of you, man. So definitely learning that lesson the hard way.
Me too. You know, I actually bought, I bought a course last year. You won't believe how much, but I'm going to tell you. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I can't believe I spent this much on a course. I bought a course for $8,400.
What?
Yeah. Absolutely stupid. I got swindled. I'm not gonna like call them out. It's good content. I'm not gonna say it's not good, but
did you get your $8,400 worth of value out of it?
No, not even close. Now, look, if I would have probably followed it to a T, it's one of those things, right? If I would have followed it to a T, went down the entire rabbit hole with like my organizational structure and all of my employees backing me and how we have all of these systems set up, I probably would have got the 8,400. I would have got some ROI on that, but it was just an impulse. I was high on like the market being just ridiculous at the time.
Yeah.
And I was just like, my NFTs. I mean, I was selling NFTs. I mean, $8,400 was like one NFT that I was selling. I was just like, you know what I mean? So like it was like $8,400 because that's how I even told it to myself in my head. I was like, well, I mean, I sold an NFT for this amount, so I bought NFTs.
I can 100% agree with you. I mean, and the worst thing about it is like when the Ethereum was at like the 4,000, and I wasn't calculating. Oh, it's $8,000. Oh, it's only 2 ETH plus gas, and you're like, what's 2 ETH? And then some of the money I've spent, I'm like, oh my goodness, why did I? Like I just dropped $150, $200 just on a gas fee to send like something stupid, $200, and then you know how much food I could have bought with that money or something. It was, but I think the positive is those are all learning experiences. If we don't make those mistakes, 100%. We're not going to be the people we are today. So
100%.
I want to ask you about something else because I mean, I really like. You're very direct, very open. You just believe in something and you just go for it. You don't listen to what people say. I saw your post this morning today about something you called grifters, people who just you switch from one thing to another. And there is a shame to that on social media, especially, right?
Yeah.
I was originally on AI, right? My name flows, everything is good. But then I realized I don't want to just spend my time like getting people data science jobs, which I still help them out with because that's been my experience. But I also like Web3. I like NFTs. I like the new chatbot API, AI things that are coming out. But there's sort of a shame on that. Don't talk about that. And it's like, why are you switching? Yesterday you're talking about NFTs. Now you're going to be the AI expert. But I never say I'm an AI expert. I'm just documenting what I'm working on. So how do you feel about that whole thing?
I don't care. I don't care about those people at all. Look, like, that's why I posted that. Like people, what it really is and what it boils down to is that people are upset. Like people there's a few things true about society that we know. And this is just obvious, right? This is, I think everyone can kind of say the same thing from personal life experiences, right? People in general do not like when other people break the mold, right? People do not like when other people step out of line. Because what it does to them psychologically is they go, well, that's not fair. Why do they get to do that? I can't do that. Right. Like, and it's just a little child. They're children. That's what it is. They're going, wah. And it's like, well, like, sorry that you're stuck in your own, that you're stuck in your own kind of psychological cell where you can't break out of it because you're afraid, because that's the only thing stopping you from doing it is fear. I don't have that fear. I'm excited by that fear. We already spoke about that, right? Like that excites me. That fear of pushing the boundaries, man, like finding something new, learning something new, like that's exciting. That's motivating, right? The other thing I just want to say, like, is, one thing I want to talk about this like specific topic is, when we're speaking about a business, and this is where a lot of people conflate this issue with, they get the business part of a person mixed up with the person themselves, right? So when you're a business owner, people say, well, you do X, and that's what you need to talk about because niching down is what it's about. And if you're just jumping around, then you can't still be doing this because now you're doing this. No, my business, Excellerate, is a community management company. Creatives.com is an AI database, right? Those are niche specific products or services. They are businesses. Businesses should be niche, specifically targeted. A person is not niche. Okay. Right. A person is me, and I get to be as multifaceted as I fucking want to. Right. Like, period. and if you have a problem with that, the problem is yours.
Right. I like that. I mean, and I don't have a problem with it, especially because so I'm a huge fan. I mean, Gary V, right? People like him, people don't. I love Gary V. And
Yeah,
what
dude,
I'm passionate
same. I
about
love
is
it.
he was a wine guy. He was selling wine. I was just at his dad's liquor store last week, and like you see what they did, and now he's running like trying to compete with Disney. He has a toy line at Toys R Us. He has one of the biggest NFT collections, and people are telling him, "Why are you talking on social media? You're a wine guy. What do you know about this? What do you know about that?" And he's just kept redefining himself, and now he's merged the worlds together where he's taking his NFTs, placing those images on his wine bottles, combining the two, selling wines with NFTs. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, he's crushing it.
Yeah. 100%, man. And if you look at the world's top performers, they're all like that. Right. All of the world's top performers are like that. They're all like that. Why?
You gotta diversify. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, I feel like.
Yeah, diversification for sure, like investment and investment of time, but also what I think it boils down to is like the smartest people in the world understand that they've done things that don't interest them, and then they see the return they get on their time, and they go, "Well, I didn't get shit for the return of my time because I wasn't actually interested in that thing, so I didn't do a good job." And because I didn't do a good job, I didn't get a good return. So then they go, well, shit, I might as well do things that interest me, right? Like, because I'm going to get a good return. I'm going to be so interested in the thing that it stops becoming, and I know this is cliche, but it stops becoming like a job and it becomes a passion. And once you have a passion about a thing, right? Like it's you don't just stop at the 9 to 5. You become passionate about it to where you dig deeper and you go, okay, this can be done better and this can be done better. Oh, and then I can change this over here. Oh, and then this can be changed, right? And you constantly iterate and change and fix and do more because you're actually interested. Right. And so whatever. And that's why, like, dude, these guys like Elon Musk, right? He jumps around. God, he just spent $44 billion on Twitter. Okay. And he's getting plenty of shit about that. Right.
Elon Musk was a content moderator. He went from building rockets to doing content moderation. Hey, maybe he can sign up to your program. You can give him some pointers.
Like really though, like dude, like I mean, because he went from what? Okay, so he started out doing PayPal, but even before PayPal was like X, or it was some X. I think it was like X Pay or some crap like that. But it was like pay over the internet, and then he went to like a rocket company, and then he went to a car company, then he went to like putting implants in people's brains, and then he went to
building tunnels.
He was a founder of OpenAI, which now everybody's talking about, right? Like, calm the fuck on. Like, the most successful people in the world are like that. And because they understand, like, you have to keep moving. When I think what drives the uber successful people, and I'm not saying I'm one of them. I hope to be one of them. That would be great. But I'm definitely not one of them. But I think what drives them is the thrill of the build and the thrill of growing that thing. Like, I think that's what drives successful people.
Following your curiosity.
100%. Yeah. And actually doing the thing, like actually building that thing. Because like what we saw with Musk, every time something became kind of successful and just like running itself, he started something else.
Right.
Every single time. And that's the same thing we see with Gary V. That's the same thing. Same thing we see with all of these uber successful people. They constantly are just starting something else as soon as something is kind of doing great, running themselves, because they have to stay in that build mode. That's what drives them. That's what they're passionate about. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's amazing. So to long story short, those people that want to complain, I don't care. They can complain. Right. It's all good.
So
whatever.
I really like what you said is like about you niche down on the business that you're like, Tesla is not doing everything, right? Tesla has its niche focused to electric vehicles, batteries, whatever, and they have it. But then the person is separate from the business. So I really like that. What about, so that's what, right? We have a person, we have the business. The one thing that I have ran into personally is the people that follow me a lot on LinkedIn. It's not that many, but they followed me because of my data content so far. So when sometimes I post about something else, I'm like, well, what about, I'm breaking these people's expectations. So now, like, like, am I losing my data community, or are they going to follow me because of whatever? That's just been my personal things that I've talked about. I mean, I've thought about.
So I'll tell you, man, I don't think that's the case at all. Coming from like a community aspect and how, if we break it down to psychology, right? Like, old marketers will tell you, yes, you're right. Like, old marketing style would say, yeah, 100%. You have to be specific about your content, because if not, yeah, you're breaking expectations, and then people don't know how to react. And it's like, dude, where in life do people act like that? Like, if I go up to you tomorrow and I'm like, hey, Antonio, and I start talking about my family or something, you're not going to be like flabbergasted. You're not going to be like, like, oh my God, like, well, I don't know how to react to this information. Like, it's because it comes from a place of like, thinking, we're like really thinking too deep on things. I really think the truth is people don't care that much. And so the people that don't care that much aren't going to care that much. And then the people that actually like you, Antonio, they're going to care more, right? Because they see multifacets of you, right? And they like you, and then they get to know you more. And once they get to know you more, that's when they stop being your data fans and your data audience, and they become an Antonio audience, right? And that's a big difference. That's a big difference. And that's where you want to get to. Personal brand is not about the content. Personal brand is about the person, right? And so you have to get to that point where it's not about the content you're putting out. It's about, like, sure, it's about the content because that's how you deliver who you are, but it's a vehicle to get them in a relationship with you, right?
I like that, man. I've needed to hear that, because where I've been stuck is, I know I have my community. I want to build a good online community, people I can connect with. And not just about getting followers, right? I want to have people with meaningful relationships, but I have my data interests, which is what I do. I love NFT world. I also love, my favorite thing is being a dad. And I also always talk about like my son and growing with a child and stuff. And then sometimes I get stuck in that world. I'm like, well, should I talk about that? Should I not? But then I think being authentic has to be the most important. If people don't like it, then I guess they don't have to follow you, right?
100%, man. Authenticity sells. Like, that's, and you shouldn't do it just for the selling point. But look, authenticity is where it's at. It's where it's at. I will tell you that you will get. The thing about being authentic, though, is it's not safe, right? And it is scary. Because you'll get more detractors by being authentic than if you just toe the line and go the safe route and just put out content that everybody's kind of okay with. And you can still grow by doing that. But I think what we're going to see is that it's going to be almost impossible very, very soon for you to grow that way by the safe route. And the reason why is because content is going to be so cheap and easy to make. It's just going to be ridiculous, and anybody and everybody can do it. That you really do have to be yourself 100% and put out the content that you want, because then it will resonate with the people it's supposed to resonate with.
I like that, man. I like that. And definitely that's been my focus that's why I've opened up like 15-minute meetings so I can meet people, I want to actually get to know the people. So you being a community builder, the one question I have is, I think this is a big problem in the world, is that I'm not for anybody being religious, being not religious or whatever. But when people were religious, let's say going to church on Sundays, you had your real life community, and you had your
Sure.
people. With people moving away from that, now I think people are lacking communities. I mean, everybody's
Yep.
moving to different parts of the world. Your church community is not here anymore. Your friends are all living in different sides. Your parents, a lot of times, are in different countries, different states.
Yep.
So that's the one thing that I think it's a big problem. Do you personally think that online communities can kind of have the same impact as in real life communities? Do you think you could kind of reach that
100%.
kind of level?
It already has plenty of times for plenty of people. It did that for me. My life's been changed because of the communities I've been a part of. My entire life was changed because of the communities I've been a part of and the people I've met in those communities. They're still my friends to this day. And, I've been able to build an extremely successful career with these people that I've met in these communities. But much more than the transactional, you do for me, I do for you, it's real. Like, these relationships that we've built are absolutely 100% real. But no, I mean, look, what you said about, everything you said, breakdown of the family unit, the breakdown of relationships, the breakdown of religious culture, as we see society, and mainly we're talking about Western society, because I'm honestly not seeing this so much with other societies, but mainly Western society unravel because the social cohesion just isn't there anymore, right? The underpinning ideologies that once held us together have kind of been unraveling. And as we see that continue to happen, what we will see is the digital community just absolutely take off. And the reason why is because people are going to turn to that for specific reasons. They're going to come together around specific interests. The interest graph, right, is so much what we've seen, like social media has shown us. So just to give some context before I go into this kind of tangent, Facebook was built on the social graph, right? And that worked well for, seeing your family and friends and all of that. And that worked well for that whole thing. But what the founder of Facebook would even say, can't believe I'm drawing a blank on his name. He said that he got it wrong. Yeah, Mark is the Zucks, right? He got it wrong by focusing entirely on the social graph. He thought that that's where it was. But what we've seen, like with TikTok, for example, or YouTube, is the interest graph is so much more powerful than the social graph. Because if you think about it, relationships are always built around interest, right? The friends you made in high school, the friends you made in college, all of them were around interests, things that you were interested in. And what we're going to see is that same level of collective interest gathering, right, be built into these online communities. And that's why I think community platforms are going to be massive, absolutely massive, because we already see that on social media. But the next iteration of that, because social media doesn't have enough actual connectivity between people to make it meaningful, like it's great for content and kind of forgetting about things and escapism, but you're still left with a gaping hole, which is relationships, right? You don't really have that. And the community platforms are going to be where it's at. People are going to flock to these. And we already see this. The young people are already doing it, right? That's why Snapchat is so big, because Snapchat is much more based on those interactions, actual people and groups of friends and interacting with that, but also having some interest graph mixed in there. And
Reddit, man.
All over. Yeah, right. Reddit. And also like Discord. Young people are all over Discord. Like they love Discord. They all use Discord because, once again, they get to be around their friends. They get to meet new people around interests that they care about. So yeah, I think it's absolutely going to take over.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think 100% agree with you. And I think the other trend that I've been seeing is a lot of the people who used to monetize on YouTube or on other platforms with ads, I think that's going down. It's getting more saturated. You're not making money that much and you need to have some sort of a membership, some sort of a community that's going to support you. Like what is that? Patreon, right? Is one of the sites that does that. But you do need that. I love the, what is it? The 1,000 fans, right? 1,000 true fans.
1,000 true fans.
Yeah. So I think that's the way it's going. So I think you're definitely in the right field.
I can't agree more. And I think it's going to be even more important as TikTokification happens, right? So all of the social media giants, what they're seeing is the interest. They're seeing the power of the interest graph with TikTok, and what TikTok does. TikTok shows you more content from new content than it does the people you follow, right?
Right.
And they do that for a reason, and because it's so powerful. And so what that's going to do is it's going to force content creators to no longer be able to rely on followership, like followers, right? They're going to have to create off-site communities in order for them to get their message out to their community in a real way. And honestly, I'll tell you the places that I think are going to take off in 2023, which I don't think a lot of people are thinking about, but I think email is actually, email is going to be a big one in 2023.
Interesting.
Newsletters are going to be huge. If we look at the amount of engagement you actually get from email, it's insane. It's some of the largest engagement you can get on any platform. So within the first, I think within the first hour of sending out an email to your newsletter, on average, about 23% of people open and read. Within 4 hours, about 50% of your user base opens and reads. That's huge. That's massive numbers. So when you're talking 10 million people, a 10 million person following, like if Mr. Beast had a newsletter with all of his 90 million, 100 million people reading his newsletter every day, that's absolutely crazy. That's crazy.
The influence that one email could have.
That's exactly. Really awesome. Massive.
Man, I need to I have an email list. I have about 100 people on it. I definitely taking it more of like this, I'll just email them when I have something, but I definitely need to keep up with that because those people actually went to my site, signed up for the newsletter. So those people are actually interested in. So that's really great advice. But I appreciate that. The one thing, so I want to little bit ask you about this whole trend that's going on, and people are getting scared about the chatbots and generative AI. How do you see that affecting communities? And is the AI going to one day be our content moderator and the people are not going to exist there? You don't need people.
No.
Can it have that impact of replacing people?
It's going to replace people. No question about it. Okay. Like there's absolutely anybody that thinks, like that's not going to happen to community. It's definitely going to happen to community, the community ecosystem. But here's the thing. What we've already seen in service industries, and make no mistake about it, community management is a service industry. It is not a marketing industry. It is a service industry. And what we've already seen is that people do not like automated services. Okay. They do not like it. You call the 1-800 number, you cannot stand that you're not talking to a human. Get human exists for a reason. When you go to Google and you say get human because you want to get the number that gets you directly to the human, like that exists for a reason, right? And this is the truth. We saw this with McDonald's open up a few automated restaurants. They did well as a gimmick, as a novelty for about a month, 2 months, and then they fell flat. They lost money on it. They closed them up because people actually don't even want fast food where there's nobody there. Like people it was super fast. It was fast as shit, but people they don't want that, right? So what we'll see, this is what I think we'll see. We'll see two kind of options emerge. We'll see the cheap kind of people that don't get community, which I think will be less and less and less over time. But we'll see the cheap kind of people that don't really get community, and they'll get like the bots that are going to be able to chat and answer questions and do everything in their communities, and all of that. And their communities will never be as successful as somebody that has the people in there actually building relationships, right? Because the thing about human psychology is that we need to feel like the other person on the other side of the conversation has some interest in what we're saying.
Right. Cares,
right?
and they care.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm talking to somebody and they're on their phone, what is that? What I feel frustrated.
Yes.
This is everybody. This is everybody, right? We need the other person on the other side to feel some interest, and we'll never get that from a robot. We just never will, psychologically, at least not in our lifetimes. Maybe over generations we'll get used to it, and who knows. But not in our lifetimes. So we're gonna have that. But I will say, like, moderation, stuff like that, simple repetitive tasks will definitely be automated all the way across the board. But community managers will still be there. You'll still have the people that will need to be engaging with the people, with the communities. It's going to be necessary for any high functioning community.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think I get the one that I really get frustrated is with people who have, let's say, a larger following on LinkedIn, and they post a topic, right? I used to think, oh, these people just wrote it. They're asking a question. I would answer the question, right? Continue the conversation. No like to see they acknowledged it. No response. Meanwhile, I took like 15 minutes giving a response to what they were asking for. As I became a creator, I've noticed, one, there's ghostwriters. There's a lot of the people are just automated stuff. The post, you never open LinkedIn, you never check it, anything. You're just getting followers. But then now, I as the time goes by, you see that those people, I mean, are not as successful. They have followers, but they don't have engagement because people have learned on their ways. So as a founder, I share the opinion that you have to be involved at some point, right? You can't do everything because the point of a community is the community engages. But as the founder, people who follow you, they want to see you. They want to hear about you. Do you agree with that? Do you disagree with that?
Yeah, no, I think no. So yeah, if we're talking, I mean, the goal, like I said earlier, the goal of content is to act as a vehicle for people to build a relationship with you, right? To hopefully engage them to the point of active participation with whatever you try to activate them with, through whatever kind of strategy you're trying to implement, whether that's, a community platform, Reddit, some type of mix, whatever it is, right? So that's the goal. And hold on, I think, no. Sorry, I thought I had a meeting.
Okay.
But no, so that's the goal. That's the goal through the content. And then if we're talking about a project, like a project founder, like the project founder, if we're talking about being a founder, you personally should be engaged with the community at some level, especially early on.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. Now, and to your point about the ghostwriters and people not engaging, like we've talked about Gary Vee here, right? And one of the things he says, which he can't stand, and I agree with him, is when he looks at content creators who are like, man, I'm not growing, I'm not getting engagement, and nothing's happening. Well, and then he goes and looks at like them not responding to anybody in their comments, and it's like, well, there you go, like, there you go. It's like, read my shit because I tell you to, but I don't really care about you. I'm just putting out content because I need to, right? Like that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous, man. That's absolutely ridiculous. And that's one thing you'll see on like my content, for example, is I never really ask questions. I never really ask for engagement because honestly, when I see that, to me, and look, to each their own, to me, what I see when I see that is just like, I don't know. It's almost
like you're begging for.
Yeah, it's almost inauthentic, right? It's almost inauthentic. Because,
unless you have a genuine question, because sometimes I really have a genuine question. Like, guys, what the heck do I do about this?
Yeah, but like but the agree or disagree, tell me below. Like that shit. Like I'm like, come on, man. Like that is come on. Like yeah, I've had genuine questions from my followers. Like one time I had a question like, hey guys, honestly, how do you find your profit model? Or how do you I said, how do you actually determine how much you charge for your services, right? And that was a genuine question. I wanted to know, like, how do you guys really do this? Because I was having trouble. Like, how do I charge for these services? But other than that, if it's not genuine, I don't do it. Like, I'm not asking just to beg for engagement. I think it's stupid. And I would rather people engage because they want to engage and they enjoy the content and they want to say, hey, that's awesome. Or, hey, man, this is what I think about that, right? Because to me, that's so much more valuable than me saying, hey, please, can you tell me a question? Can you please? So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really impressed that you also like Gary Vee. I mean, I'm not surprised he has a lot of followers, but my goal, I'm saying this December 7th, 12 o'clock, my podcast, I want Gary Vee one day to be on it. And that's going to be my measure. That's my goal.
Bro, send him a message.
I was at VCon, so I took a picture with him and I need to. But he does tell people, he's like, I want to see you build momentum first and get enough episodes. Because did you know that like 70% of podcasts don't even make it past episode 3? I'm past that point, so I'm not quitting. Yeah,
70%?
70% don't make it past episode 3. Yeah, people start 1 to 3. They see not many people are following them, and then they quit. But the way I see it, man, I mean, it's you have 100 people online, and you're like, oh, it's only 100 views. But can you imagine if these 100 people were standing in front of you? That would be a big auditorium filled up just there to hear you. So 100 people, if you're measuring yourself through Mr. Beast, is nothing. But if you imagine those 100 people just listening to you talk, I mean, that's a lot of people.
Bro, so dude, I'm so with you on that. Like, so we built communities to like 30, 40,000 people, right? And that's cool. But like, for example, we just launched a newsletter last week, right? We've got about 100 people, 120 signed up so far. But I'm refreshing that thing like every minute, and I'm like, as soon as I get one more, I'm like, fuck yeah, right? Like it doesn't like. Every single person counts, man. Like every single person counts, and it's so important to look at it that way. You're thinking about it the right way, man, because like when you think about it in a view of comparing yourself to somebody else, you're always, especially these fucking just absolutely mega people that are just like, come on, like you're always gonna fall short. Like you're gonna always kick yourself. So yeah, man, that's amazing. Kudos, man. Kudos. How many episodes are you on, by the way?
So I have 5 episodes that I have posted, and then I have a couple more that are recorded but just in processing, and then I'm recording 3 episodes this week, so I'm gonna get past that 10 mark, and that is going to put me in probably the 90 percentile, honestly. And what I was doing some analysis, right, being a data guy. In order to start getting some traction, people start seeing traction around like 30 to 35. That's when you actually start like feeling that you are becoming something, right? You're not becoming famous or anything, but you are getting people to notice your content. So I definitely have a set of goal. Like I need to do that once I do 35 episodes, then I'm gonna evaluate like, okay, is this valuable to people? Is this valuable to me? And then go from there. But I'm not quitting before that, because
what funnels? What kind of funnels do you have to drive traffic right now? Like, are you chopping it up, putting it on TikTok, YouTube, stuff like that?
Yeah. So I have YouTube. It goes with I have a video, goes with the video, full episode. The same video, the audio version gets posted to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and now I got an advertisement that I can also put it on Amazon Music as a podcast. And then what was a challenge for me with having a little baby, I didn't have the time to make into short content, but I have started doing that and creating YouTube shorts. Also,
Nice,
I have
nice.
a TikTok account that I just started posting on that. My biggest followers that I have is on LinkedIn. But the problem with LinkedIn is as soon as you post a video, your engagement goes. And I've been posting constantly. Like this past week,
Well,
one of my
let me ask you:
Mhm.
are you posting on LinkedIn? Are you posting the video itself, or are you posting a link to the video?
I've tried both. I know they say post it natively on LinkedIn, and I've been doing that. It's still the engagement compared to it's not doing great compared to if I posted a poll like, hey, do you like water? Yes or no? It's gonna get like thousands of views. You post a 30-second video, it's like 150 impressions. And if you actually now it's a new thing. If you leave, I used to do post the 30-second video and then link to the full video in the comments. But now there's a new algorithm thing. If you post if you're the first one to comment on your post, that decreases reach by like 30, 40, 50%. So I'm like, so that's honestly, that's why I'm reevaluating if I want to long-term be on LinkedIn with that, because if I want to make it in video, I've really found my passion in making video, making podcasts. And LinkedIn has been lately just turning on to short 2-sentence posts. That is
what
just
about, let me ask you, what about putting it in your featured section?
I do have some stuff has worked in the feature section where I've done like a step-by-step, like how to get a data job. And there have been like 5 or 6 LinkedIn that has worked in the past. I have to experiment with that, honestly. And that, I think that's an important lesson as a creator is I don't want to rely on a single algorithm on a single web page. Because they change the algorithm on you and you're screwed. So that's why I'm starting to post on TikTok. I'm posting YouTube Shorts. I also have my own website, and I am on Twitter. Haven't created much content on there because I'm used to writing those LinkedIn posts. So I'm still practicing that copywriting, like short form for Twitter. I don't feel confident doing that, but I think Elon is going to implement videos. So I'm hoping if he implements videos, that's why I'm starting to go on Twitter as well. But it's all trial and error.
We'll see what he does. Yeah, man, that's what it's all about, man. Just got to keep trying. Like for the longest time, the last before they changed the algorithm on LinkedIn, I was just going up. It was just like a straight up, right? And then they changed the algorithm, and then it went sideways and down for like 2 months. And then only in the last week did it go like parabolic. Basically, it went just ridiculous. Only because of the AI stuff. It's the AI art, man.
I like that art. You did great.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm really stoked about it. Kind of figured out. I was so happy. I told my ops director immediately, I got it. I sent him a message. I was like, I cracked the code. I was like, I got it. I got some, because I could create the same style of art almost anytime I want, which is pretty dope. And it's hard. It's kind of hard to achieve, but so I'm pretty stoked about that.
Are you using Midjourney for that art?
Yeah, Midjourney. Yeah. It's a pretty look. Oh, go ahead.
No, so I saw. So you have, for those of you, check out James's LinkedIn, and you'll see the amazing art. You had the Egyptian gods, right?
Yeah. 8 of the Egyptian gods pantheon. Yeah.
So you can tell it once you have one picture, you can tell it to kind of create similar pictures based on that.
No. It's each one is a very, very, strenuous process to get to that. I want to say strenuous. That's a bad word, but it's a very complex process to get to that end picture, right? So a lot of people, what they do with these prompts, and I think they do it wrong. It's not I think that's why I was like, I cracked the code. Is a lot of people try to create one prompt to do the thing that they want it to do, but I think that's the wrong way to do it. What you have to think about is you have to think AI and how this AI works as a code, right? And how it actually thinks about the data it's being given. Um, and and so just like any artist, first they start with um, the kind of surface that they're going to create the art from, right? So that's my first prompt, is creating that surface, right? Like, what is the thing? What is it canvas? Is it marble? What is the thing that is creating from? So that's what I create. And then I take that, put it into another where I give it character, right? I give it the character that I want to give it, right? And then I take that and then I give it the details that I want to give it. Because what you're allowing the AI to do is not have to compute all of those same the
At once.
string of data at one time. You're giving it the ability to actually do what it does best, which is take that information, right? The graphical information that's on the graphic and the image that you feed it, and then you're able to add the small string of characters to compute onto that thing. And then so it's able to be much more clear and specific on it, right? So versus trying to get it to do all of this craziness in one prompt.
Hey, I think if I mean, I know you're super busy, you have a lot of things going on, but I think it could be really value bringing to your audience and other people if you make a tutorial, if you want to make a tutorial, or like at least show people with an example of how they should think about it. If you crack the code, I mean, I would even pay something for it, just because following people on LinkedIn, everybody is like, like they think it's just, oh, generative AI, just tell it and it will do something. And when I've tried it out, it's not easy. So what I did is, when I was writing articles, I would type in a prompt and I'm like, okay, the picture for this article is going to be AI generated. And I was using DALL-E 2. And you tell it to do something. It doesn't just follow what you tell it to do. It takes me like 10 tries in order to get whatever the heck I want there. So you don't have to do it. Or if somebody else is listening and they kind of they know how to do stuff, teach people. I think there is definitely going to be value in that, just because it's not as straightforward as people think. They're like, oh, all our jobs are going to be automated. That's it. We don't need any more people because AI is going to do everything. And I'm like, I've tried it, man. It's not that easy.
It's really not. Like the thing is too about like those people that are like, yeah, but look at all this amazing art I can create off of like, you put it in one prompt and you say something like, beautiful girl on the beach, and yeah, it looks really nice, right? Like it's cool, but try to get that same style again. Try to get that same exact thing without understanding how to get there. You can't.
Exactly.
Like you can't do it. And so you're not going to be able to go get a client and then tell you, hey, I need 10 images like this with this thing, right? Like you're not going to be able to do that. You can't do that. You literally cannot do that. You don't know how. So yeah, understanding. I think there is a lot of value there. I will be honest. I'm going to be a little selfish with this code cracking that I made only until I get more content out. Just because I can't give away that secret right now.
That's understandable. I don't know what you figured out. Yeah, I was just. It sounds very impressive.
Well, I'll tell you. Try this out. Anybody listening? Go on there, do a marble statue. Okay. Do like a marble statue. Your first prompt, try like a marble bust, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one and put it of the figure you're talking about, right? So put it of, whoever, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever, right? And do a marble thing. And then the next one, add some more character. Give it like a skin color, give it a hair color, give it give that. And then the third one, now you're going to add more details. That's when you get like super detailed, ultra detailed, high definition. That's when you put your zooms on your cameras. That's when you do all of the different like film, over the shoulder type of whatever things that you want to do, because now you have the canvas, a beautiful canvas for the AI to work off of, to then put it into a scene that's perfect. Right.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So anyway, man, great.
Yeah.
Great. It's been great, man.
I know we went a little bit over. I mean, I want to be respectful of your time because, I mean, you're super interesting. The stuff that you do, I'm a huge fan. I will continue to be a huge fan. But why don't you just tell people where they can find you, how they can interact with you, and then we'll end with that.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Antonio. I really appreciate you having me. This has been one of the best podcasts I've been on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Because you didn't keep it so. Usually people come and bring me on. And hey, to anybody that might be listening, if you had me on a podcast and you did this, I don't mean any hate. There's no hate.
Yeah.
But usually people bring me on and it's just specific questions about the thing that I do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like conversational where we could just talk about. And like we talked, we're multifaceted human beings, and I enjoy being able to talk about like different things. So this has been awesome. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Everyone listening, you can find me at James_gets_it. That's James Gets It with 2 underscores on Twitter and basically every social media platform, because that's what I do. I get it. And then you can find me James Turner on LinkedIn, Excellerate. That's EXCELLERATE. James Turner.
Hey, that's awesome, man. Thank you so much.